My mother is only here because I felt guilty not inviting her, my daughter said, loud enough for half the backyard to hear, so don't encourage her to stay all night. A few people laughed because they did not know what else to do. I stood near the drinks table with a sweating glass of lemonade in my hand and watched my daughter Natalie grin as if she had just delivered the cleverest line of the evening. She was 33, polished from her cream sandals to the gold hoops in her ears, and she had always known how to turn cruelty into something that sounded playful. Her husband, Ryan, stood beside the grill with a spatula in one hand. He snorted and flipped a steak. The neighbors looked down at their plates. One woman, Carla, from 2 houses over, gave me an embarrassed smile. Nobody defended me. Nobody seemed surprised either. That hurt more than the joke. At 64, I had been widowed for almost 9 years, and grief had taught me the value of silence. My husband Thomas had been the one who could turn a family argument into laughter before anyone remembered why they were angry. After he died, I tried to fill every empty space he left behind. I helped more, paid more, forgave faster. I thought generosity could keep us from splintering. Instead, it taught Natalie how much I would tolerate. I took one slow sip of lemonade, set the glass on the patio table, and smiled at her. "Have a nice evening," I said. Natalie blinked. She had expected me to protest so she could call me sensitive. Ryan had probably expected tears so he could roll his eyes. I gave them neither. I crossed the lawn toward the small cottage at the back of the property. 3 years earlier, I had moved out of the main house, so Natalie and Ryan could raise their 2 children there. The house had 4 bedrooms, a finished basement, a wide kitchen Thomas and I had remodeled before he got sick, and a fenced yard large enough for birthday parties. The cottage had 1 bedroom, a narrow kitchen, and a porch barely big enough for 2 chairs. At the time, I had called it practical. Natalie called it temporary. Ryan called it a blessing. Somehow, within months, that blessing turned me into the person who made school lunches, folded laundry when their machine got backed up, waited for repairmen, picked up prescriptions, watched the children on weekends, and paid bills no one mentioned because everyone preferred pretending they did not exist. By the time I closed my cottage door that night, I was not crying. I was tired. There is a kind of tiredness sleep does not fix. It comes from being useful to people who have stopped seeing me as human. I went to the small dining table beneath the window and pulled a navy binder from the cabinet. Inside were years of statements, tax records, insurance renewals, maintenance receipts, and household budgets. Thomas had teased me about that binder when he was alive. "You could survive the apocalypse with 3 spreadsheets and a coupon," he used to say. I could almost hear him. I opened to a page labeled Main House, Property Tax, Home Insurance, Electricity, Water, Internet, Landscaping, Auto Insurance for the silver SUV Natalie drove, Major Repairs, Appliance Replacement, My Money, Their Lifestyle. I stared at the figures until the backyard laughter faded. Then I took out a red pen. For years I had mistaken silence for patience. I had mistaken sacrifice for love. Natalie's words at the party did not suddenly make her unkind. They simply forced me to admit she had been unkind for a long time. I drew a line through the first automatic payment, then the next. By midnight, I had a plan. The next morning my phone buzzed at 7:12. Natalie. Normally that call meant the children were awake and she wanted me in the main house before they started asking for breakfast. She had a Saturday Pilates class at 8. Ryan liked sleeping late. I usually made pancakes, found missing socks, packed swim bags, and pretended I was grateful to be needed. I let the call ring. A second call came. Then a text. "Mom, kids are up." I poured another cup of coffee. 9 minutes later, someone hammered on my screen door. "Mom?" I stayed at the table. "Mom, I know you're in there." I walked to the door but did not unlock it. Natalie stood on the porch in leggings and a fitted jacket, her hair tied into a smooth ponytail. "The kids need breakfast," she said. "So make them breakfast." She stared at me. "I have class." "Then you should get started quickly." Her mouth opened slightly. "Are you still upset about last night?" "No. You obviously are." "I'm busy." She looked past me into the cottage as if searching for evidence of this imaginary busyness. Doing what? Reviewing my finances. Natalie laughed once. On a Saturday morning? Yes. You can do that later. I could. I'm choosing not to. I watched irritation move across her face. Natalie had always been most offended when my choices inconvenienced her. Fine, she said. Whatever. She turned sharply and marched back across the lawn. I locked the door again. Then I opened my laptop. The electricity account took 4 minutes. I removed my bank information and changed the billing contact to the mailing address of the main house. Water took 6. The fiber internet company made me speak to a customer representative who tried twice to offer me a loyalty discount before accepting that I wanted the main house service terminated at the end of the current billing cycle. The SUV insurance required a little more care. The vehicle was titled in my name because I had bought it after Natalie's second child was born. At the time, she had been driving an old compact car and complained that 2 car seats barely fit. I bought the SUV outright and told her she could use it. Somewhere along the way, use it became mine. I removed her as the primary driver and arranged coverage for myself only. Then I called my insurance agent, explained that I would be reclaiming the vehicle, and made sure every document was correct. I did not shut off anything immediately. There would be notices, grace periods, opportunities for 2 working adults to create their own accounts. I was not trying to leave my grandchildren without lights or water. I was simply stepping out from beneath bills that should never have become mine. Before lunch, I called a local property manager named Elaine Foster. Thomas and I had once used her company when we rented his mother's condo after she moved into assisted living. I need a market rent estimate, I told her. For your house? Yes. There was a pause. Elaine knew Natalie lived there. Something change? Something became clear. She did not ask for gossip. That was one of the things I liked about her. I'll send comparable listings by Monday, she said. When I closed my laptop, the cottage felt different. The furniture was the same. The clock still ticked above the stove. Yet, for the first time in years, I did not feel like I was hiding in a smaller version of my own life. 3 days later, Ryan discovered the first crack. I was repotting ferns on my porch when the back door of the main house swung open. He came across the yard holding his phone. Evelyn, is your internet messed up? No, hello. No, good morning. I brushed soil from my gloves. Mine is fine. The Wi-Fi in the house is dead. I've got a fantasy draft tonight and I'm trying to update my rankings. You'll have to call the provider. He frowned. Why? Because the main house no longer has service under my account. His face went blank. You canceled it? I stopped paying for it. Why would you do that? Because I don't live there. Ryan looked toward the house, then back at me. It was included. In what? What do you mean? In what agreement was your internet included? He gave me an irritated laugh. Come on, Evelyn, don't do this. I'm not doing anything. I'm correcting an arrangement that went on too long. He shoved his phone into his pocket. Natalie's going to lose it. That is her choice. Ryan muttered something under his breath and headed back inside. 10 minutes later, Natalie crossed the lawn so fast she nearly lost one of her sandals. You canceled our internet? I canceled my account. That is the same thing. No, it isn't. Mom, this is ridiculous. If this is because of the barbecue, I said I was joking. You did not apologize? She crossed her arms. Because everyone knew I was joking. Everyone knew you were insulting me. Her expression hardened. So this is punishment? No, punishment would be me trying to make you suffer. I'm simply no longer financing things for people who say my presence is charity. Her eyes flashed. You're being dramatic. Perhaps. I picked up the watering can, but I'm still not turning the internet back on. She stared at me as if I had spoken in another language. No? No. That one word felt almost physical. I had spent years explaining myself so thoroughly that Natalie assumed enough pressure would always produce a yes. I carried the watering can toward the side garden. I have errands, I said. Please latch the gate when you leave. That afternoon, I packed clothes for several days. My son Lucas lived about 2 hours north. He was 37, divorced, childless, and quieter than Natalie. He had never asked me for money after college. When I offered, he usually said, "Keep it, Mom, you might need it." I had once worried that meant he felt distant from me. Now I understood it was respect. Before leaving, I looked at the silver SUV in the driveway. Natalie had both keys. One hung on a hook beside the refrigerator. The main house's back door was unlocked. I stepped inside. Bowls sat crusted with cereal in the sink. A wet towel lay across a kitchen chair. 2 delivery boxes were stacked beside the pantry. From upstairs came Natalie's voice. "They want a $150 installation fee." Ryan answered something I could not hear. I walked to the key hook, took the SUV key, and slipped it into my purse. For a moment, I stood in the kitchen Thomas and I had designed together. I remembered choosing the tile. I remembered him dancing badly while we painted the old cabinets before we could afford new ones. The room did not feel like mine anymore. Not because Natalie lived there, because I had allowed myself to become a guest in the life I had paid for. I left without announcing myself. Lucas had dinner ready when I arrived. We sat on his back deck while evening settled over the trees. He listened as I told him about the barbecue, the utilities, the internet, the car, and the market rent estimate. When I finished, he cut into his salmon and said, "Finally." I laughed despite myself. "That's all you have to say?" "I've wanted to say it for 3 years." "Why didn't you?" "Because every time I tried, you defended her." That was true. I looked down at my plate. I thought I was helping. "You were helping at first." He leaned back. "Then they stopped using the help to get stronger, they used it to get comfortable." I sighed. "They're still family." "I know. She's still my daughter." "I know. And those are my grandchildren." Lucas put down his fork. "Mom, loving the kids does not require funding their parents' takeout habit," I smiled. He continued, gentler now. "You can help someone climb a hill. You don't have to carry them while they complain that you're walking too slowly." That night, I slept 9 uninterrupted hours. When I woke, my phone showed 7 missed calls. Natalie had sent 11 messages. "Where are you? Did you take the SUV key? Call me. I need the car tomorrow. This is getting childish." Ryan says the electric account is changing too. Mom. I did not answer until the 5th day. I was drinking coffee at Lucas's kitchen table when Natalie called again. This time, I picked up. "Where is the SUV?" No greeting. "At home." "It is not in the driveway." "It's parked beside my cottage. I drove back before sunrise and moved it." She made a sound between a gasp and a laugh. "You took the car?" "I reclaimed my car. I have to take Mia and Ben to swimming lessons. You and Ryan have a sedan." "He took it to work." "Then you'll need to make another arrangement." "Like what?" "I'm sure you'll think of something." Her breathing sharpened. "You cannot just take a vehicle I use every day." "It is registered to me." "You gave it to me." "I let you use it." "That's the same thing." "It clearly isn't." There was a long silence. Then she said, "You're doing all of this because of one stupid joke." I'm doing this because one stupid joke finally made me look honestly at the last 3 years. Mom, I paid your electricity, your water, your internet, your home insurance, your property taxes, your landscaping, your car insurance. I watched your children at least 3 days a week. I cooked for them. I drove them. I waited at your house for contractors. I cleaned up after parties I was barely welcome at. I never asked you to do all that. That sentence landed exactly where she intended. For a second, I could not speak. Then I realized it was a gift. "You're right," I said. "What?" "You did not ask for all of it. I offered. I kept offering. That was my mistake." She went quiet. "So I'm fixing my mistake." Her voice changed suddenly. "Wait, did you remove your bank card from the electric account?" "Yes." "I just got an email saying the payment failed. You'll need to add yours." "And water?" "Yes." "The insurance?" "Yes." "Oh my God. You'll be fine." "Do you have any idea what all of this costs?" I almost laughed. "I know to the dollar." She said nothing. I've been paying it. I ended the call before the conversation could become another argument. The next morning, I returned to the cottage for good. Before I even finished unloading groceries, Natalie and Ryan were crossing the lawn. Ryan reached my porch first. We need to talk. Good morning. Don't do that. Do what? Act calm like this isn't insane. I carried a grocery bag inside. Natalie followed him to the bottom step. Her face looked pale and tired. We spent almost 4 hours setting up accounts yesterday, Ryan said. They want deposits because everything is new. Internet, electric, water, all of it. We don't have that much cash sitting around. That sounds like a budgeting problem. His jaw tightened. We were not planning for an extra $1,000 a month. You should have been. Natalie stepped forward. Mom, I had to rent a car. You chose to. What else was I supposed to do? Use rideshare, coordinate with Ryan, buy a car, ask another parent. There are many options. She stared at me. I placed the grocery bag on my counter and returned with a folder. Elaine had sent the rent analysis. I had also paid a lawyer to draft a simple lease. I handed Natalie a 1-page summary through the screen door. She read it. Her eyes widened. What is this? Rent. Ryan grabbed the paper from her. You're charging us rent? Yes. For your own house? Especially for my own house. He scanned the number. This is almost market rate. It is below market rate. You said we could live there. I did. You said we could raise the kids there. You can, I pointed at the figure, under a lease. Natalie's face reddened. You're trying to throw us out. No, I'm giving you a choice. Sign the lease by the 1st of next month and pay the stated rent, or move out by the final day of that month. What about the taxes? Ryan snapped. The roof, repairs? My responsibilities as the owner are listed in the lease. And utilities? Yours. Natalie crushed the summary slightly in her fist. This is cruel. No, I looked at her directly. Cruel was making your mother the punchline at a party held in her own backyard while she quietly paid for the lights over your head. Her eyes flickered. That's not fair. It is exactly fair. She shook her head. You're choosing money over family. I am choosing limits. What about Mia and Ben? There it was. The shield. If we have to leave, they lose their rooms, their yard, their school bus stop. You're doing that to your grandchildren. I felt the old reflex rise inside me, the one that made me rush to fix every discomfort before Natalie could blame me for it. I let the feeling pass. I love Mia and Ben, I said. They will always have food, warmth, and a safe place with me, but I will not let you use them to pressure me into paying for a lifestyle you and Ryan cannot afford. Natalie stared. Ryan scoffed. This is unbelievable. You have 30 days. We're not signing this. Then you have 30 days to move. I closed the wooden door. My hands trembled only after the deadbolt clicked. I leaned against the wall and listened to their voices rise outside. Ryan cursed. Natalie called me selfish. For years, those sounds would have sent me rushing outside to restore peace. Instead, I unpacked tomatoes, coffee, bread, and a carton of eggs. Then I made lunch. The following 2 weeks showed me how much money can hide. The meal delivery bags stopped appearing on their porch. The landscaping crew did not come on Friday, so Ryan spent Saturday morning pushing an old mower through grass he used to pay someone else to cut. Natalie canceled her boutique fitness membership and started walking around the neighborhood instead. Online shopping boxes disappeared. Their favorite steakhouse stopped showing up on Natalie's social media. I did not enjoy watching them struggle. That surprised me. Part of me had imagined I would feel triumphant. Mostly I felt sad that adulthood had arrived at their door so late. Lucas called one evening. Ryan asked me for money. I closed my book. How much? $3,000. For what? Deposits and first month's rent, apparently. He's planning to sign? No, he said they need time to figure out how to deal with you. I sighed. What did you tell him? That I wasn't getting involved. Thank you. He also called Dad's brother. Uncle George? Yep, I almost smiled. George was 71 and famously careful with money. How did that go? He told Ryan he could recommend a budgeting app. I laughed for the first time all day. A week later, Natalie knocked on my cottage door after sunset. Not pounded, knocked. I opened it. She stood alone. "Can I come in?" I stepped aside. She sat on the sofa and looked around as though seeing the cottage properly for the first time. The small room contained a bookshelf, a lamp Thomas had restored, 2 framed photographs, and a knitted throw over the armchair. "You really like it in here?" she asked. "I do. It's tiny." "So?" She looked down at her hands. After a while, she said, "I'm sorry about the party." I waited. "It was stupid. I was trying to be funny." "I know. I didn't think you'd take it this far." There it was again. Not I didn't realize I hurt you. I didn't think there would be consequences. I said nothing. She looked at me. "So can we just stop?" "Stop what?" "All of this. The utilities are already in your names. Ryan is going crazy. He'll adjust. And the car?" "No." Her shoulders dropped. "Mom, I need the SUV on Thursdays. The kids have activities in opposite directions." "You'll need to coordinate transportation." She stared at me. "Can we go back to normal?" I thought about that word. Normal had meant being summoned by phone before breakfast. Normal had meant postponing my appointments because Natalie wanted lunch with friends. Normal had meant paying bills quietly so she could tell people how independent she and Ryan were. Normal had meant being invited to a barbecue in my own yard out of pity. "No," I said. Her expression changed. The softness vanished. "You're really going to do this over money? This is not about money." It obviously is. "It's about what the money allowed you to believe." She stood. "What does that even mean?" "It allowed you to believe there was no cost to disrespecting me." Her face hardened. "I apologized." "You apologized because your expenses increased." "That's disgusting." "It may be, but it's true." She grabbed her purse. "You know what? Keep the stupid house. That is one of your options." She left and slammed the door. I sat alone for several minutes. Then I cried. Not because I regretted my decision, because boundaries do not erase love. I could know someone was using me, and still miss the version of her I hoped existed. Day 30 arrived without a signed lease. Natalie and Ryan had found a smaller apartment near Ryan's office, and the moving truck came that Saturday. Lucas drove down before breakfast, partly to help, and partly to make sure appliances I owned did not disappear with their boxes. The hardest moment came when 9-year-old Mia walked to my porch clutching her stuffed rabbit. "Grandma, are we moving because you're mad at us?" I knelt and hugged her. "Never at you. Grown-ups sometimes have to change how they handle money and homes. You and Ben can still visit." "Sunday pancakes?" "If your parents call first." She nodded solemnly. Natalie avoided me until the final boxes were loaded. Then she stopped beside the cottage. "I hope you enjoy sitting here alone with that huge, empty house." "I don't want the house," I said. "I wanted my life back." She looked confused, but I did not explain further. After the truck disappeared, Lucas changed the locks and handed me the new keys. I expected victory. What I felt was relief. I never moved back into the main house. 2 months later, I sold the property to a young couple with 2 children and bought a bright 2-bedroom condo 15 minutes from Lucas. I kept the silver SUV, put money into my retirement account, and signed up for a watercolor class I had postponed twice because Natalie always needed me. Our relationship did not heal overnight. At first, Natalie called only when the children asked for me. When she brought them over, I made my rules clear. Visits were arranged in advance, babysitting was requested rather than assumed, and my wallet was no longer part of their monthly budget. Slowly, something changed. Without my safety net, Natalie and Ryan learned to live on what they earned. They cooked more, canceled expensive habits, shared one car for months, and eventually saved for a used crossover. More importantly, Natalie began asking instead of demanding. Almost a year and a half after the barbecue, she stood on my balcony while Mia and Ben packed their games. "I was awful to you," she said quietly. "Not just that night." I waited. I told myself you liked doing everything for us. After Dad died, I thought you needed to feel useful, but I used that excuse because it made my life easier. Her eyes filled. When you stopped paying, I thought you were taking something from me. I finally understand none of it was mine. There was no request attached to the apology, no bill, no car, no favor. I'm sorry, Mom. Thank you, I said. We can't go back, can we? No, she nodded. Can we go forward? Yes. That was enough. I still love my daughter, I still adore my grandchildren. But I no longer confuse love with surrender. I learned that silence can become permission when it lasts too long, and generosity without limits can teach people to expect what they should appreciate. Now my keys sit in a small ceramic bowl beside my condo door. One for my home, one for my car, one for my mailbox. On Saturday mornings, I drink coffee while it is hot. Nobody pounds on my door demanding breakfast. Nobody spends my money before asking. Nobody invites me into my own life out of pity. I once believed strength would arrive as a furious speech. Instead, it arrived quietly. It sounded like one word, no, and it felt like taking my keys back.